and brought in 1.2 million new retail investors as the government democratized national asset ownership. On the debt side, the capital market has similarly financed key infrastructural projects in Kenya, notably the KenGen Public Infrastructure Bond and several government infrastructure bonds, raising over 1.2 trillion in 13 years, about 100 billion shillings per year on average. These debt listings have also increased Kenyans' saving options, and therefore going forward, Your Excellency, the CMA will work closely with your government, the NSE and CDSC to encourage more listings of both public and private entities. In addition, Your Excellency, to support ordinary citizens to save and create wealth through the capital markets, we have rolled out collective investment schemes, unit trusts. These allow retail investors to pool funds and have them managed by a professional fund manager licensed by the CMA. The assets under management of collective investment schemes have tripled from 2014 until today, from 54 billion shillings to 150 billion shillings. That's growth of about 15% per year. Traditional capital market products, namely shares, are still active. However, the volumes are low, mainly because the public has stayed away from share ownership. Perhaps it was since the last significant IPO, which was Safaricom in 2007, they have not seen very much activity. There's not been very much to speculate on. I think, as we were saying on a light note, people don't quite understand what the securities exchange is and what can be done here. There's also been some feedback from the public about the economic realities. And therefore, Your Excellency, the CMA will continue to invest further in outreach programs to encourage our ecosystem of partners, many of whom are in this room, to educate the investing public on how to create wealth in the capital markets. But we still have lots of work to do to facilitate increased investor activity every year. Which leads me to my second point, Your Excellency. We must make the capital markets more attractive to the supply side, to the companies who want to use the capital markets in their financing strategies. Several years ago, Your Excellency, you engaged the capital markets fraternity and asked, what do we need to do differently? You asked several questions. You asked where the listed companies, anchor investors, could cede less than 25%. Was there an issue for them? You asked why MSMEs were not accessing cheaper long-term funds from the capital market instead of going for the more expensive short-term funding. And we know in the capital markets, if you raise your money here and your company runs into trouble, nobody comes to evict you. Your Excellency, we took up your challenge and engaged MSMEs to listen to their concerns and appreciate what would attract them to the capital markets. In the process, we've demonstrated our commitment to supporting their financing journeys, and the NSE has consequently onboarded 33 of them into the Ibuka Incubator Program. And as we said earlier, we're going to accelerate how many of those can go higher and list on the larger boards. After listening to these stakeholders, CMA overhauled regulations on capital raising, what's known as the Draft Public Offers Listing and Disclosures Regulation, and we're now waiting for those regulations to be gazetted. There are 5 key reforms, basically making it easier, lowering the requirements, increasing the scope of companies that can raise capital, allowing the waiving of regulatory costs for deserving firms, and significantly lowering the costs of compliance. Your Excellency, the third point I'd like to make is that the CMA is focused heavily on promoting innovation in this space. You recently pronounced that we need to fully leverage the fintech space to enable small investors to access affordable capital. CMA introduced a regulatory sandbox in 2020, a safe place where businesses can test innovative products, innovative services, and innovative business models. in conjunction with CMA, to develop the appropriate regulatory guidelines. For example, we have witnessed an influx of interest in blockchain and digital assets-related applications, which have raised the need for the CMA to study the global trends and create our policies within the space. The sandbox has attracted great interest from the youth, from private equity and venture capital players. 12 have come in, 6 have exited, and the most recent one being Possessia, a debt crowding platform. We've looked at your Kenya Kwanza manifesto, and we see innovation opportunities in agriculture. We're supporting innovation in implementing structured commodities trading through the warehouse receipt system and supporting the launch of fully fledged commodities exchanges. Additionally, we continue to push for reforms in the coffee sector, which have dramatically slowed by the recently gazetted regulations by the Ministry of Agriculture. We need the capital markets to continue to oversee the revamped commodities trading environment to provide greater transparency and higher prices. In housing and settlement, we will continue to push real estate investment trusts, real estate development trusts. We saw the listing of Acorn and Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. And on infrastructure, we'll continue to push county project bonds, and we heard from my good friend, Governor Sakaja, about Nairobi. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, as I get pulled off stage, I'm only on page 3, Mr. Wanjohi. But let me just reiterate the CMA's commitment to increasing the saving opportunities for Kenya, creating opportunities for companies to benefit from a revamped and revitalized and more market-focused capital markets, and our commitment to continue to drive innovation in all areas to help us get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Excellency. It's an exciting day for the stock markets, and you would understand that they have taken a bit longer. I request the next speaker kindly. We have to ring the bell at exactly 9:30, so I request the chairperson, Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks, to come forward and recognize pioneer trading partners. Kindly, 5 minutes, kindly.
Your Excellency, the President, riding on all protocols of